Reality does not shift with noise. It shifts in quiet rooms, under cold light, while nothing dramatic seems to be happening. A phone screen glows against a dark ceiling at 2:17 a.m. The air conditioner hums. A notification waits unread. The body is still, but the mind has already moved. Something small has just been accepted without friction, not agreed to, not examined, accepted. The breath shortens for half a second, then returns to normal. No alarm sounds, no warning appears. This is how most internal decisions are made, not through arguments or facts, but through shortcuts that feel like relief. The brain edits reality the way a tired editor trims a manuscript, removing complexity, smoothing contradictions, choosing coherence over accuracy. The process feels protective. It feels efficient. It feels invisible. Memory plays along. Attention narrows. Meaning rearranges itself quietly so the story still makes sense. The world outside has not changed, but the internal map has already been redrawn. From this point forward, certain details will be ignored automatically. Certain signals will feel irrelevant. Certain explanations will sound unnecessary. Nothing about this feels like control. It feels like clarity. And once clarity settles in, resistance dissolves. This is the state where rewriting begins. Number 10. The man stands alone in an elevator, watching numbers descend in the mirror above the doors. His phone vibrates once in his palm. He does not look. His jaw tightens slightly. The elevator hum fills the silence. When the doors open, he exhales as if a decision has already been made. This is cognitive ease. It is the brain's preference for thoughts that require the least effort to process. When information feels smooth, familiar, or simple, it is automatically judged as more truthful. Neural pathways favor efficiency. When a thought pattern is easy to retrieve, the brain interprets that fluency as reliability. Cause leads to effect. Reduced mental effort produces increased confidence, even when accuracy has not improved. And that's where it quietly wins. You trust the thought because it feels clean, not because it is correct. The moment relief appears, scrutiny disappears. The mirror closes, and the elevator moves on with you inside it. Number 9. A woman scrolls through messages at a cafe table. Sunlight hits the glass just right, washing the screen in glare. She tilts it, blinks once, and stops reading halfway through a sentence. Her finger hovers, then locks the phone. This is confirmation bias. It is the tendency to favor information that aligns with existing beliefs while filtering out what threatens them. The mind organizes incoming data around prior conclusions. Supporting signals are amplified. Conflicting ones are dismissed as flawed or irrelevant. Cause becomes effect. Belief shapes perception. Perception reinforces belief. That's the part you never notice. The silence after she locks the phone feels justified. Nothing new needs to be processed. The story remains intact, and intact stories feel safer than accurate ones. Number 8. A man pauses at a crosswalk. The pedestrian signal flashes red. He checks his watch, then looks both ways. Cars are distant. He steps forward anyway. His breath cuts for an instant, then steadies. This is normalization of deviation. Small rule breaking becomes acceptable when negative consequences do not immediately follow. The brain updates its model of reality based on outcomes, not intentions. Repeated survival without penalty rewrites internal standards. Cause leads to effect. Absence of harm becomes proof of safety. And that's where the shift hides. What once felt risky now feels reasonable. The line moves without announcement. Later, when consequences arrive, they feel unfair instead of predictable. Number 7. A woman sits at her desk under fluorescent light,
rereading an email she has already answered. The cursor blinks at the end of her reply. She swallows, jaw locking, then closes the laptop. This is avoidance reinforcement. Relief from discomfort teaches the brain that disengagement works. When an action reduces emotional tension, neural reward systems mark it as effective. Over time, avoidance becomes the preferred strategy. Cause creates effect. Short-term relief produces long-term narrowing of action. That's the quiet trade being made. Each time she closes the laptop, the world shrinks slightly. The relief feels like control. The cost remains invisible until there is no room left to move.
Number 6. A man hears a familiar phrase repeated in a meeting. He nods before processing it. The phrase sounds right. Others nod too. His pupils tighten briefly, then relax. This is social proof. The brain uses group behavior as a shortcut for truth. Consensus reduces cognitive load. If many people accept an idea, the brain assumes vetting has already occurred. Cause leads to effect. Shared belief replaces independent evaluation. That's where thinking quietly stops. Agreement feels like belonging. Disagreement feels like friction. So reality bends toward the group, not because it is right, but because standing alone costs more.
Number 5. Late at night, a woman replays a conversation while brushing her teeth. The bathroom light reflects off the mirror. She pauses, mouth half open, as a new interpretation settles in. This is hindsight bias. Once an outcome is known, the brain rewrites past uncertainty as inevitability. Memory is reconstructed, not replayed. The brain edits recollections to align with current understanding. Cause produces effect. Present knowledge reshapes past perception. And that's where history changes. She now remembers always knowing how it would end. The discomfort of uncertainty disappears. In its place is a cleaner, simpler narrative that never actually existed. Number 4. A man hesitates before opening a news article. The headline alone feels enough. He scrolls past. His finger stops shaking once the screen changes. This is information avoidance bias. The brain sidesteps data that threatens emotional equilibrium. Processing threatening information demands energy and risks internal conflict. Avoidance preserves stability. Cause leads to effect. Emotional comfort overrides informational accuracy. That's the hidden decision. What he does not read cannot disturb him. Reality becomes manageable by omission. The world feels calmer, but less complete.
Number 3. A woman defends a choice she made years ago while stirring a pot on the stove. Steam rises. She blinks slowly, voice steady, hands moving automatically. This is cognitive dissonance reduction. When actions and beliefs conflict, the mind adjusts beliefs. Admitting error threatens identity. The brain resolves tension by justifying past decisions. Cause creates effect. Self-image protection rewrites interpretation of facts. That's the line that holds. She is not lying to others, she is stabilizing herself. The story hardens not because it is true, but because it must remain livable. Number 2. A man checks his reflection in a dark window while waiting for a train. He straightens his posture unconsciously. His breath deepens. This is self-signaling. Actions become evidence of identity. The brain infers beliefs from behavior, especially repeated behavior. Cause leads to effect. Doing becomes being. That's the internal rewrite. Each small action feeds the narrative of who he is. Changing the story now would require changing the self that has already been rehearsed. Number 1. A woman lies awake listening to the ticking of a clock. Each second lands evenly. Her eyes remain open. No thoughts feel urgent anymore. This is narrative coherence bias. The brain prioritizes a consistent internal story over fragmented truth. Meaning is assembled into a continuous line, smoothing contradictions. Cause produces effect. Coherence replaces complexity. That's where reality finally settles. The story feels whole. It feels calm. And once calm arrives, questioning stops. The rewrite is complete. Nothing here announces itself as manipulation. There is no villain, no external controller. These shortcuts exist because they conserve energy, reduce pain, and keep the internal world stable. They are not flaws. They are features that quietly outgrow their original purpose. What changes is not the world, but the filter through which it is allowed to appear. Over time, the filter becomes invisible. Decisions feel obvious, reactions feel justified, memory feels reliable. The sense of authorship remains intact, even as the script has been edited line by line. Awareness does not reverse the process instantly. It interrupts the silence around it. It introduces friction where smoothness once lived. That friction feels uncomfortable because it restores complexity. It brings back uncertainty, edges, and unresolved details the shortcut once removed. This is not about fixing anything. It is about noticing the moment when relief replaces accuracy, when coherence replaces truth, when ease replaces examination. That moment arrives quietly, usually when nothing seems wrong. The clock keeps ticking, the light stays the same, and somewhere between one breath and the next, reality is offered a simpler version of itself. Whether it is accepted determines how the next chapter will be remembered.